British musician, Ian Watkins was originally known for his music, but his status as a legendary rock star was ruined by his decision to prey on minors. In 2013, the former Lost Prophets frontman was sentenced to 29 years behind bars for multiple charges relating to his crimes. Perhaps not surprisingly, prison hasn't been very forgiving toward Watkins. During the summer of 2023, he was taken hostage by 3 fellow inmates over a drug debt at HM Prison Wakefield. He was rescued 6 hours later with non-life-threatening stab wounds, but he remained a target among prisoners. On October the 11th of this year, 48-year-old Watkins was stabbed to death in his prison cell. According to reports, a fellow prisoner slashed his throat with a shank at around 9:30 a.m. after the cells had been unlocked for the day. Guards rushed to the scene, but Watkins died from blood loss after having his jugular vein severed. Given the nature of Watkins' crimes, a source familiar with the incident told The Sun that the fatal attack was just a matter of time. Authorities have charged 2 inmates aged 25 and 43, the younger of whom was already serving a 27-year sentence for murder. The 43-year-old suspect is serving a 24-year term for abducting and assaulting a woman, and the trial date for Watkins' murder has been tentatively set for May of 2026. Number 20. Ketty Dilone. Complete chaos broke out in mid-September during an American Airlines flight to Las Vegas when a woman threw a tantrum and attacked crew members. Identified in reports as mother of 2, Ketty Dilone, the disgruntled passenger had just caught a connecting flight in Charlotte, North Carolina, while traveling to Vegas from the Dominican Republic. The outburst was captured on video, which appears to show Dilone being restrained with zip ties and duct tape. She reportedly kicked a flight attendant to the floor and could be heard threatening employees and screaming that the restraints were hurting her in the footage. Dilone could also be heard claiming that she had poisoned her father's coffee with a pesticide that's illegal in the US. She then started singing in Spanish before once again erupting into a tirade, and the rambling continued until the video ended. FBI agents arrested Dilone after the plane touched down in Sin City, and she was booked into the Henderson Detention Center on 1 count each of interference with a flight crew and assault by striking, beating, or wounding. She no longer appears to be in custody, but could face up to 20 years in prison if convicted as charged. Number 19. Rey Cruz. When 20-year-old Rey Cruz broke into a couple's Bloomington, Indiana apartment in May of 2016, he probably wasn't expecting to end up in the emergency room. A man who lived at the residence chased him throughout the apartment building, eventually catching up to the home intruder. The victim ripped his jacket off Cruz, tackled a thief on the sidewalk, and punched him repeatedly in the face, causing a bloody nose. Police arrested Cruz at a local hospital, and his injuries were evident in his booking photo. He was charged with felony burglary, but the outcome of the case is unclear. Number 18. Kimberly Ann Howell. In October of 2015, a North Carolina woman named Kimberly Ann Howell revealed in a Facebook post that she had duct taped her dog's mouth shut because it barked too much. The 25-year-old thought it was funny, but her brand of humor did not sit well with everyone who saw the post. Someone contacted the authorities, and Howell was arrested on a misdemeanor animal cruelty charge. While speaking with an investigator, Howell reportedly admitted to taping her dog's mouth shut, but claimed it was just a joke and that she only kept the tape on long enough to take the photo. By then, she had received so much backlash from commenters that she had removed the post. A law enforcement spokesperson described Howell's actions as unacceptable, but the suspect was allowed to keep her dog after an investigator determined that the animal was in good health but showed no signs of abuse. The outcome of the criminal case is unclear. Number 17. Fontrell Antonio Baines. Better known to his fans as Nuke Bizzle, 31-year-old Memphis rapper Fontrell Antonio Baines caught the attention of federal authorities when he bragged in a music video about getting rich off ill-gotten COVID relief assistance. The song was called EDD, which is a commonly used abbreviation for California's Employment Development Department. In the video, Baines and other rappers displayed large amounts of envelopes from the agency and boasted about how they can just file a claim while other criminals sell drugs. In total, Baines fraudulently obtained as much as $1.2 million in unemployment payments. According to investigators, he applied for the benefits using various identities and addresses that he was connected to and obtained nearly 100 preloaded debit cards containing funds that were meant for struggling recipients. Using the cards, the rapper and his co-conspirators withdrew more than $700,000 from ATMs and spent the money on lavish indulgences. Federal authorities arrested Baines in Las Vegas in late 2020. In 2022, he reached a deal with prosecutors and pleaded guilty to mail fraud and being a convicted felon in possession of a weapon and ammunition. He faced up to 20 years in prison, but records show that he's currently incarcerated with a projected release date of May 2026. Number 16. Tom Rose. On a Thursday morning in August of 2024, law enforcement in Pasco County, Florida, received a tip that a man who was wanted on a federal warrant had been seen in Newport Richey. Working with the U.S. Marshals, deputies set off on a search for the fugitive, 40-year-old Tom Rose, who sped off from a Home Depot store parking lot after he realized he'd been spotted. The cops briefly chased after Rose before instead deciding to perform surveillance on him. He was located a short while later in a nearby residential community where he tried to strike a Pasco County detective with his car while attempting to evade capture. The detective disabled Rose by shooting him, bringing the short-lived but harrowing pursuit to an end. Rose survived his injuries and was expected to face charges once he recovered. He has an extensive criminal history which includes a previous 10-year prison stint for gun and drug charges. In addition to nearly striking the detective with his vehicle, he was accused of threatening to harm someone if they informed police of his whereabouts. The current status of the case against him is unclear. Number 15. Paris Wilder. What began as a routine traffic stop ended in deadly gunfire in August of 2021 when a Brevard County deputy pulled over a vehicle in West Melbourne, Florida. Inside the car were 3 adults and an infant, included a man who was later identified as a 38-year-old violent career criminal named Paris Wilder. After being asked to step out of the vehicle, Wilder opened the car door and opened fire on the police with an AR-style rifle, striking Deputy Brian Potters in the leg. Wilder then struck Potters in the head several times with the butt of the rifle before other members of law enforcement returned fire, killing him at the scene. Deputy Potters was treated at a nearby hospital for non-life-threatening injuries, and the other 2 deputies on the scene were unharmed. 2 other individuals who were in the same vehicle as Wilder ran from the scene in fear of their safety when the gunshots broke out, but they returned after the shooting was over and cooperated with law enforcement. They were cleared of any involvement in the shooting. In dashcam footage of the ill-fated traffic stop, Potters could be heard reassuring Wilder in a friendly manner that he would keep an eye on a child who was in the vehicle. Despite the deputy's non-aggressive demeanor, Wilder opened fire on him without warning and in a completely unprovoked fashion. Wilder was a registered career offender with 40 prior arrests and 24 past felony charges, including robbery with a firearm, aggravated assault with a weapon, battery on a law enforcement officer, and attempted first-degree murder. Additionally, he was out on bond for 2 felony drug charges at the time of the shooting and also had 2 felony warrants out for his arrest. Sheriff Wayne Ivey made his feelings on the matter clear in a social media post containing the dashcam footage, stating that Wilder had gotten exactly what he deserved. In response to questions about why deputies fired so many shots at Wilder, Ivey responded by saying, "Because evil can never be dead enough." Number 14. Dallvion Parker. In February of 2023, 2 victims were killed and a third was injured in a triple shooting at a Gainesville, Florida home at the hands of 28-year-old Dallvion Jarrell Parker. Police responded to the scene at around 2 a.m. after receiving a call from the surviving victim, and by the time officers arrived, 33-year-old Brittany Avery Hoisington and 21-year-old Travon Shepard had succumbed to their injuries. The man who survived was taken to the hospital and was able to provide law enforcement with information that helped them identify the suspect. According to court documents, Parker had expressed an interest in dating Avery Hoisington, but suspected her of using him for material gain. Avery Hoisington was unreceptive to Parker, who left the house and returned in a mask a short while later and opened fire on the victims. The surviving victim faced the difficult task of testifying against Parker during the accused killer's trial in the summer of 2025, despite being traumatized by what he had endured. But his testimony proved crucial to securing a conviction against Parker, who was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison for 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, and tampering with evidence. Number 13. Florida homeowner stands her ground. While responding to a Pensacola, Florida residence in May of 2021, Escambia County Sheriff's deputies arrived to find a 54-year-old man dead from a gunshot wound to the head. He had children in common with the woman who lived at the property but was not supposed to be there due to an active restraining order against him. Despite this, he had stopped at the residence and confronted his ex while on his way to a court-mandated anger management class. Footage from the woman's doorbell camera showed the man repeatedly kicking the front door while shouting at the top of his lungs. The door swung open on his 6th kick and he entered the home. He proceeded to grab a knife and stated his intentions to harm his children's mother, who had retreated to a back room with other household members. When the intruder barged into the room, the woman shot him twice, killing him at the scene. The shooting was deemed justified under Florida's Stand Your Ground law, and the victim was cleared of any wrongdoing. Number 12. Los Angeles resident reacts with vigilance in a shocking attempted burglary that was captured on video in November of 2023. A Los Angeles homeowner was confronted by two strangers while arriving at his front door. A man in a ski mask could be seen approaching the victim from behind and demanding money while holding a gun to his back. Instead of complying, the homeowner fought back, leading to a brief struggle between the two men. The attacker eventually gave up and fled while one of his accomplices approached, at which point the victim pulled a pistol and fired multiple rounds in their direction. The first attacker returned fire before fleeing in a getaway car driven by a third suspect, while the second suspect fled on foot. It's unclear whether the suspects were ever caught or if anyone was injured in the ordeal, but local reporters caught up with the homeowner, who said that he resorted to gunfire because his wife and child were at the home. He warned anyone else that might be thinking of targeting him that there's nothing inside his house worth dying for. Number 11. Henry Wayne Collier. 64-year-old serial bank robber Henry Wayne Collier was already on federal probation for past crimes and had recently been released from prison when he held up a Bank of America branch in Edgewater, Florida, in October of 2024. Donning a disguise including a wig and a mask, he handed the teller a note demanding cash before fleeing the building on foot. He was picked up in Glynn County, Georgia, several days later and was extradited to Florida, where he was found guilty of written threats to kill or injure, aggravated assault with the intent to commit a felony, and attempted robbery with a gun or deadly weapon. Collier was sentenced to life in prison for the attempted robbery charge due largely to his criminal history, along with a 15-year sentence for the written threats charge and 5 years for aggravated assault. Number 10. Koby Minor. 35-year-old rideshare driver Reginald Folks lost his life at the hands of an off-duty Atlanta police officer in May of 2024 when he was shot dead minutes after picking the suspect up in Union City. 34-year-old Koby Minor was reportedly intoxicated and had just finished partying with colleagues when he summoned a Lyft ride from Folks. He shot Folks twice during the trip, later arguing in court that he believed the victim was a member of a gay fraternity who was trying to kidnap him and that Folks had refused to let him out of the car when he became uncomfortable. Minor's defense attorney expanded on these claims, telling the court that the defendant suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder from serving in the military. The lawyer claimed that Minor had suffered a psychotic break on the night of the shooting due to a combination of prescription drugs, alcohol, and marijuana. Minor pleaded guilty to multiple charges including voluntary manslaughter and was sentenced in October of 2025 to 29 years in prison. He apologized for his actions during his sentencing hearing, but his words failed to earn the forgiveness of the victim's mother, whose life is forever changed by the loss of her son. Number 9. James Jaramillo. 19-year-old James Jaramillo's bad decisions caught up with him at the young age of just 19 years old when he was killed in a standoff with law enforcement in Pueblo, Colorado. The deadly encounter took place in late July of 2024, at which time Jaramillo was a suspect in multiple homicides. Police responded to a local residence shortly after 1 p.m. after receiving a report about a man shooting an assault rifle behind a nearby apartment building. According to the caller, the suspect was menacing someone with the weapon and at least one person had narrowly missed being struck by a bullet. Officers ordered Jaramillo to exit the home, but instead he fired multiple shots from the basement. He then exited the residence and began shooting directly at the police, prompting an officer to return fire. When the cops made entry, they found Jaramillo dead. In January of 2025, the Pueblo County District Attorney's Office released a report announcing that the shooting had been deemed justified and the officer had been cleared of any wrongdoing. Number 8. Benjamin Moralez. In December of 2022, an armed man barricaded himself inside his 5th floor room at a hotel in Honolulu, Hawaii's Waikiki neighborhood. Police responded to the scene at around 1:30 p.m. after receiving a call about a guest who refused to check out. During the 10-hour standoff that ensued, 48-year-old Benjamin Moralez fired multiple rounds out his window. Officers and crisis negotiators tried everything possible to arrange a peaceful surrender, but Moralez refused. At around 11:30 p.m., police sent a robot onto the 5th floor. Moralez exited his room with a loaded pistol in his hand and ignored repeated orders to drop the weapon. Officers shot him twice, but he continued to resist even as EMTs rushed him to the hospital, where he succumbed to his injuries. In July of 2025, the Honolulu Prosecutor's Office released the findings of its investigation into the incident and announced that the shooting had been deemed justified. Number 7. Dammon Haynes. 49-year-old serial stalker Dammon Haynes spent years tormenting around 24 victims in and around Omaha, Nebraska, before he was finally sentenced to decades behind bars, described by the authorities as a master manipulator. He served his first prison sentence of less than a year for stalking in 2009 for breaking into a woman's home and threatening to kill her. Haynes went to prison for a second stalking case in 2011, serving just a portion of his 6-year sentence before being released later that year. During that time, he continued to harass his victims from behind bars by sending letters using other inmates' names. His most recent case came in 2014 when he was accused of harassing and stalking an ex-girlfriend. This time, prosecutors had enough evidence to prove that Haynes was a habitual criminal. He was convicted of stalking, terroristic threats, and witness tampering, along with an enhancement for his repeated offenses, landing him a 38-year prison sentence. With good time factored in, records list a projected release date of February 2048, which means he'll be in his early 70s when he sees freedom again. Number 6. Calixto Beavenutti. In May of 2025, sheriff's deputies in Jacksonville, Florida, responded to multiple calls about a man firing a gun at his residence. The suspect, 44-year-old Calixto Beavenutti, came outside when law enforcement arrived at the scene, but he did not comply with their commands. A SWAT team was called to the scene, where they attempted, unsuccessfully, to negotiate Beavenutti's surrender. Instead of cooperating, Beavenutti went back inside his house, came back out, and began walking toward a neighboring dwelling with his gun in hand. Fearing that he was going to take a hostage, the police ordered him to stop and drop the weapon. Beavenutti once again ignored law enforcement and tried entering the home, at which members of the SWAT team opened fire on him. He died from his injuries, bringing a tragic end to a long struggle with mental illness. Speaking to News4Jax after the incident, the troubled man's brother, George, said that Calixto had also turned to drugs to cope with physical pain. As Beavenutti descended deeper into despair, he became increasingly difficult to reason with. George said that he believed the police tried their best to resolve the situation without violence, but that no one could rationalize with his brother. Number 5. Ilya Zinov. 36-year-old career criminal Ilya Zinov has no shortage of run-ins with the law, and he was on probation for a prior offense when he was caught selling cocaine in Barnstable, Massachusetts, in August of 2025. His arrest came after a state trooper and local detectives witnessed him meeting with a man who was later identified as 33-year-old Jermaine Dudley, suspecting that they were engaging in a drug transaction. The trooper approached the men and found a large amount of cocaine and money in their possession. Zinov was already considered a career criminal when he received a 12 to 15-year prison sentence in 2014 for shooting someone. He also had a previous conviction for assaulting a police officer back in 2010 and was under supervision for aggravated assault and battery with a deadly weapon when he was busted for the cocaine sale. Following his most recent arrest, Zinov pleaded not guilty to trafficking 200 grams or more of cocaine, conspiracy to violate a drug law, and possession with intent to distribute a Class A drug. He was remanded without bail and appears to be serving time at a state correctional facility, while Jermaine Dudley was charged with trafficking but no longer appears to be in custody. Number 4. Robert Sorel. It's somewhat rare but not impossible for a convicted defendant to receive a life sentence without killing anyone. 42-year-old career criminal Robert Louis Sorel learned this lesson the hard way in July of 2025 when he was sentenced to life without parole in Mississippi for an embezzlement charge. The case stemmed from an incident that took place in April of 2023 when a family member reported Sorel for failing to return their car after borrowing it. 4 days earlier, roughly a week later, authorities in Tennessee arrested Sorel following a vehicle chase through a state park. He was charged with crimes in both states, and in Mississippi, he was prosecuted as a habitual criminal, with his prior convictions consisting of aggravated assault, robbery, arson, and more. During his trial, Sorel admitted to taking his relative's truck, but had no explanation for how or why he ended up in Tennessee. And after being given multiple opportunities to turn his life around and failing to do so, the court was apparently in no mood for leniency. Number 3. Austin Sumpter. An ordinary Monday night took a wild turn for a Texas homeowner in Taylor, Texas, in May of 2024, when they caught a knife-wielding man trying to break into their home. The homeowner had already called 911, and police were on their way when the intruder managed to get inside, prompting the victim to shoot the suspect. Officers arrived to find 23-year-old Austin Sumpter on the front porch with a non-life-threatening gunshot wound to the hip. In his possession, police found a large knife with "Hail Satan" inscribed on the sheath. After receiving treatment for his wound, Sumpter was booked into custody on suspicion of burglary of a habitation with commission of a felony, which can carry a prison sentence of up to 20 years. The case is ongoing, with a trial tentatively scheduled for February of 2026. Today's topic was requested by Snafu the Great and Roy Whitworth. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Shakia Travon Jenkins. In early August of this year, a Houston, Texas woman was arrested in Miami, Florida, for attempting to kill a former friend and bragging about it on social media. According to a criminal complaint, 29-year-old Shakia Jenkins encountered the victim at a nightclub in the city's Liberty Gardens neighborhood. The women were kicked out due to their behavior, and Jenkins allegedly proceeded to stab the victim in the face in a nearby 7-Eleven parking lot. According to news reports, the two women had become close friends after connecting on social media in 2023, but had been at odds after having a falling out the following year. After the stabbing, Jenkins went live on Instagram and reportedly admitted to stabbing the victim. She said she wasn't sorry for her actions, even saying that she should have finished off the victim, and was accused of making additional threats throughout the broadcast. Police arrested Jenkins at the airport and she was held without bond on an attempted first-degree murder charge. She's now on electronic monitoring and the case appears to be ongoing. Number 1. Mikki Fox. Better known to her followers as Michaela Pink or Summer Black, Mikki Lynn Fox is a Houston, Texas-based former influencer who defrauded victims from multiple states out of thousands of dollars in a real estate investment scam. According to the authorities, she swindled nearly $137,000 from her targets over a more than 5-year period lasting from March of 2015 and July of 2020. Fox reportedly promised monthly payments and a lucrative return to her unsuspecting investors, and she made good on some of the installments while others never received any money or the promissory note they were expecting. The victims initially believed Fox was using the money to flip houses and that the rehabilitated properties were expected to sell quickly, but as time went on, they grew impatient and wanted to know what was going on with their investment. When asked for an explanation, Fox either gave excuses or failed to return her victims' calls. She spent all the money, which means that many people never got their investments back, and was arrested in 2021 for her shady activities. In 2022, she pleaded guilty to aggregate theft charges relating to 8 victims and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Thanks for watching. Let's get a little philosophical today. What do you say? Would you rather have what you want or what you have? Let us know in the comments section below.